What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and the Jets continue to be active in free agency earlier on. We already know about Justin Fields, we already know about Brandon Stevens, and we will talk more about them a little bit later on, but that is not done. The Jets, I think, are continuing to establish a culture and have a clear trend on what they are doing, and they add to it again in the secondary with a new safety. Cisco has been signed as a new safety for the Jets. He comes out of Jacksonville. The details on this is it is a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Okay, Cisco was a 24-year-old, a former third-round pick, and he's one of those kind of more coverage safeties. Remember when we had Brandon Stevens signed him from Baltimore, and we talked about him as a safety, versatile with maybe a cornerback, nickel dime, but he was also known for being a good tackler, right? Cisco is kind of that other mold of safety, being more of a coverage safety, more of a ball skills, ball hawk kind of safety, right? In 2024, he had 52 tackles and only 1 interception, but that was down in 2023. He had 4 interceptions, and he has been a ball hawk all his career, even going back all the way to college, okay? In college and the NFL, he has 21 interceptions so far, and he now becomes part of this revamped secondary for the Jets. They've lost DJ Reed, right? But you know you got the All-Pro in Sauce Gardner. We now add Stevens. We now also add Cisco. That dong, da dong, 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 right? So we'll see. There'll be a lot of memes. There'll be a lot of signs talking about Cisco in that vein, but he is the newest addition to the New York Jets. And here's the thing. I actually believe that this kind of is in line with what we are seeing from the new regime, Aaron Glenn, Darren Moji. I think there is a new archetype for a quote-unquote Jets guy. The Jets clearly in free agency are targeting younger players who have shown flashes that they have talent in this league, that can make plays in this league. When you look at guys like Stevens and Cisco also, they're both third-round picks, right? You look at Justin Fields, a former top-round pick, right? So these are all guys who came into the league kind of as ballyhooed or top level prospects within the first 100 picks. So the talent is there, have shown that they can do it in this league. And the Jets coaching staff believes that they can kind of develop this even further, right? So we're getting the young talent. We're putting the faith in the coaching staff to really get the most out of them. That is how you build a culture with these guys growing together. And listen, they've been doing this not only with guys they're bringing in free agency, but think about Jamien Sherwood, who they re-signed, one of their own. Thinking about the focus that the GM has already talked about in getting Sauce to an extension, getting Garrett Wilson to an extension. Literally, if you look at every single position group on the New York Jets, literally every single one, you have young, high-end draft talent. At quarterback, it's Fields. At running back, guys like Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, both in the top 3 rounds, young and can develop with this team. On the offensive line, guys like AVT, guys like Tipton, guys like Olu Fashanu last year, all young, top-round picks that can develop and grow with this team. On the D-line, Quinnen Williams was a top 10 pick. Will McDonald was a first-round pick, right? At linebacker, not only Sherwood, who we re-signed, but Quincy Williams, young and developing and growing into a Pro Bowler. In the secondary, it's the same thing now with Sauce and these signings that we have done over the past few days. We are building a team of guys in their mid-20s who were all in the top 100 picks in the NFL draft and are going to be here for a while and grow together. That is the new model of who is a Jets guy. And when you do that, you build a culture. I know Aaron Glenn saw Dan Campbell do this with the Detroit Lions, and that model has now worked as they all grow together, and the Detroit Lions are now a contender in the NFC. It may take some time, but these guys are going to be a tight-knit unit, a tight team that will grow and develop together. That has to be the mindset. That is the idea. That is the philosophy here for this new regime, and one that will grow together. The question remains, though. We all know the Jets can run. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and obviously Justin Fields with his legs. I talked about him running for over 1,100 yards in 2022. I talked about how he averaged 100 yards rushing in his games against the Detroit Lions, right, where Aaron Glenn saw him close up. The question now remains, who's going to catch passes? There's Garrett Wilson, but there's not a lot left after that, right? Lazard is gone. Devontae Adams is gone. There is Malachi Corley, another third round pick, young guy who's going to grow with Garrett Wilson, top 10 pick who's going to grow. The question is, what do they do to augment that? I've been saying that there's some cheap veterans out there, right? Guys like Brandon Cooks, guys like Tyler Boyd, guys like Tim Patrick that may be out there that could be an addition. But when you think about it, when I just say the new kind of Jets guy, I don't know if they go that route. I do think it's important to have some key veterans in the locker room, right? Whether it's a Tyrod Taylor, whether it's bringing in a wide receiver like that, but they may not go that route. Here's a wide receiver to think about. What about Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints? There is buzz out there now that they may be interested in trading for Olave. Olave has had some concussion issues, but remember, he was also on that Ohio State Buckeye team with Garrett Wilson, with Justin Fields. They could be bringing the whole band together, just like how in the NBA, the New York Knicks were all from Villanova, right? Maybe it's going to be the Ohio State Jets. We'll see about that, okay? There's also the opportunity maybe to draft a pass catcher at number 7 overall. That would be, in my opinion, Ted McMillan out of Arizona. But I'm not exactly sure if they are going to do that. There's also the tight end position, right? It does not necessarily look like Conklin is coming back. There are options at tight end. Jeremy Ruckert, who is on the roster, who was a third round pick in the draft from Ohio State. It could be the same thing, right? Top 100 picks, or the Ohio State kind of guys that played big time games in college. But there are some other options. Guys like Dallas Goedert are out there. Guys like Evan Ingram are out there to be had. So we'll see about that. But I don't know if it fits that mold. Here's one thing I do want to highlight. It is still very early in free agency, right? This was all like the legal tampering period. The official new league year starts today when contracts can be made official, right? So we'll see. There is still room to kind of make moves. There is still kind of guys to be had. There are still going to be guys that are out there on the street that get cut and, are all of a sudden new and out there and opportunities. But the one thing I will say, the Jets are still going to make moves, and I still see some priority positions to add. And they are at wide receiver, at tight end, and on the offensive and defensive lines. And what I would say is over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, where the Jets spend their money will also kind of shine a light on what their priority is going to be for the upcoming draft. Like, for example, a guy like Jedrick Wills, who I talked about in a previous episode of Jets Latest, who was a top round talent in his mid-20s at the O-line position, who was with the Cleveland Browns. I think that might be the kind of guy they sign. And if they make that kind of signing, then maybe they are not as interested in Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU, who I've been talking about as an option at number 7 overall, right? Maybe if they go out and do get a tight end like an Evan Ingram, who once again, another top round draft pick in his 20s still. If they do get a guy like that, maybe then they are not interested in Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. So keep an eye on these moves that are left. The priority positions, in my opinion, are D-line, O-line, wide receiver, and tight end. The moves that they make there will sort of dictate what their needs are remaining for the first few rounds of the draft in 2025, okay? Keep an eye out for that. Andre Cisco is a Jet. The Jets are getting young guys who are in the top 3 rounds, putting them together and growing with a new head coach and a new GM. That is how we are building the roster and building the culture for the green and white moving forward. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe to Jets Latest. This way you get updates and alerts every time there is a new episode dropping, so you could be caught up with the latest on the JETS Jets. And don't forget, for more from me, whether it's about the Jets or more broadly about the NFL, fantasy baseball, the NBA, you can always catch me on SiriusXM Channel 87 on the FTN Fantasy Show. FTN is a great website, a great fantasy and data and stats company, which will show you all sorts of great tools to help you in fantasy sports, to help you in betting. And I host their radio show on Sirius XM. Give it a chance. Search for it on the Sirius XM app. Type in FTN Fantasy, and you will get everything you need. But remember, I'll give you what you need here on the Jets, here on Jets Latest. Like, subscribe, and make sure to tune in tomorrow when we have more updates and see what else the Jets have done in the early stages of free agency. That'll do it from me. We out of here. Until tomorrow. Peace.